Go ahead, Sherry.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, April 1st, 2024, 7:08 p.m. Bear.
Here.
Briggs.
Here.
Coulter.
Here.
Heidrich.
Here.
Holtmeyer.
Here.
Patke.
Here.
Reed. Wessels.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated March 18th, 2024? Bear.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Patke.
Yes.
Wessels.
Aye. Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Bear, second by Patke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And it's approved.
Approval and adjustment of agenda.
Need a motion?
Need a motion, guys.
So moved.
Motion by Patke, second by Coulter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments and reappointments, city physician appointment.
Okay, I hereby submit for your approval, you guys, the following for appointment as a city physician. Thomas B. Reekers, term ending April 2025. Impressive bio, good guy. Just ask for your approval, please.
So moved. Yep.
Second. Motion by Patke, second by Coulter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Police department appointment.
Good evening, Council. I'd like to present to you a candidate for full-time police officer, Preston Markwart. He has prior experience in law enforcement, approximately 5 years, correct? And he's also a member of the Missouri Army National Guard as a helicopter pilot. So he does serve his country in that regard. So I ask for your approval for appointment.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Bear. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Welcome.
Welcome, Preston.
Thanks, sir.
All right, thank you.
Police department reappointments.
Okay, for your approval, also for reappointment is Officer Mindy Schmelz and Officer Cal Brose. They both are doing an excellent job for the police department, so I recommend them for reappointment.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion by Heidrich, second by Patke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Jim.
Citizens' comments.
Anyone like to make a comment, please come forward, state your name and your address, please.
There you go.
Elaine Wingbermuley. I live at 2418 Andrea Crest. And I'm bringing forward a letter that I wrote to you, Mr. Mayor, and Mark Hidridge and Wessels. And I'm just going to kind of skim through it. I'm a member of Ward 2, and I live in one of the villas at Lakeshore Villas. And was treasurer there for 6 years, then stepped back for a while, then president. And I wrote this letter in reaction to the newspaper article about Turtle Creek. So within our community, we have 2 private streets, Redbird Crest and Andrea Crest. About 10 years ago, the current president and I, as treasurer at the time, went to somebody in the city and asked if we could get some help with maintenance for the private street, and was told no, that we were lucky to have trash man come down our street and pick up our trash. So we have the 2 private streets. One is Redbird Crest, which dead ends. I don't know what happened to the original plan. There isn't. It just like it was meant to continue, but it doesn't. Andrea Crest is a private street that had, 2 lots of Stonecrest were partitioned out and a street put in the middle. There are 11 buildings with 22 villas on 2 Stonecrest lots. That's my street. So we have snow removal we have to do on our own for those two streets. It hasn't been a major expense recently, but one year, 2018, 2019, we had a bunch of snow events, and that was a major deal, and we quit doing snow removal for the driveways and just did the two streets. Meanwhile, every other street in Stonecrest gets handled by the city snowplows. An even bigger issue is that the builder was not only allowed to make Andrea Crest narrow, he was allowed to leave it as an asphalt street. It's the only asphalt street inside of Stonecrest. Now, as a result, our HOA has to pay to repair and seal that street, and we have done so at least 3 times since I've lived there in 2007. In 2018, our 46 owners had to each pay the $300 assessment, special assessment, just to seal and repair that street. And only 22 of us live on Andrea Crest. There's a total of 46 owners. But I can think of 3 owners who have left our community because they just couldn't afford it. And one of them was right after that $300 assessment for sealing that street. So I'm currently talking with the representative for Stonecrest Subdivision HOA to share the cost to try to make Andrea Crest a concrete street. It would be expensive, but then at least we wouldn't have to pay for sealing it every so many years. And yes, everybody in Lakeshore Villa also is in Stonecrest HOA, so we pay an annual assessment to them as well. So we really would like to see if the city could take over snow removal for our community. It's just those 2 streets. You already do Deutschkrest. We live on Deutschkrest too. We also have street lights that we have to pay for. There are 3 street lights on Andrea Crest and 1 on Redbird Crest that we have to pay for. And that's about $1,300 annually, roughly. And why do we have to pay for our street lights? We live in the city. And then one other experience that I would like to share is our experience with getting cable and television service on this street. When I moved there in 2007, we had DSL at our home on Meadowlark. Well, we couldn't get that on that side of the city. I forget exactly what we did to get internet access that was decent, but that improved over time. But the only way we had to get television was to put a dish on the roof, either DirecTV or Dish Satellite. And coincidentally, our bylaws say you can't put a satellite dish on the roof. But we all had to do that because that was the only way we were going to get TV service. Back in the day, Charter was at the 2 buildings at the top of the street, but they would not come down the street to service our other villas. And somewhere along the line, AT&T offered UVerse, so I switched to UVerse. I'm an AT&T retiree, so I'm happy with UVerse. But coincidentally, just this morning, I had a conversation with Gateway Signal engineering rep who told me that Gateway Fiber is not going to be installed on Andrea Crest. And when I asked him, well, what about Turtle Creek? He looked it up on his little map, and all the areas around Turtle Creek have Gateway Fiber, but Turtle Creek does not. Is that what you intended? So in closing, I guess I would like to say, I love where I live. I really do. And I don't want you to not create communities like mine. I have a neighborhood watch right across the street from me. Everybody in our association knows his name, but that's fine. I mean, that's kind of nice. It's what makes it a nice, densely populated community. But I don't think it's reasonable to expect our 46 owners, who are mostly Medicare eligible and some on fixed incomes, to be able to pay. Why do we have to pay for our streetlights and snow removal? Neither one of those would be very expensive for the city, but they would help. But maintaining that asphalt until or if we can get it converted to concrete would be a huge help. So that's basically what I wanted to present.
Did Mr. Becker give you a reason why Gateway was not going to?
I didn't hear it from him. I heard it from someone at Gateway Signal Engineering, who's doing the work in our neighborhood, Tony Walensik.
Okay.
And he was, well, I actually got the call and the visit because there was some damage up on Redbird Crest area. And so I was talking to someone about how do we get that resolved. We've already, the irrigation guy has already repaired it, and it's just a matter of figuring out how to submit for repayment.
And that's who you need to talk to, the other gentleman, to get that done, that I mentioned the first time, and I can get you his number. But did he give you any kind of reasoning at
Well,
all why it wasn't going to be put in there?
He said that that's what they were told to do. This Gateway Signal Engineering is who Gateway Fiber hired to do the installations, and they were told, you know, he showed me his map, all X's for all the people on Andrea Crest and all the people in Turtle Creek. And so I'm assuming it was given to them that way. I don't know why. I mean, like I said, this is from this morning.
Okay.
I think it's a right-of-way issue for that matter, as far as.
Well,
you can't
just,
go
just,
there.
I don't, if you, I don't know, we don't have time to pull the plat up, but my guess is, I think Andrea Crest is the same as Turtle Creek in the sense that that's an easement going through there. Those lot owners own to the center line of that roadway. That is not dedicated right-of-way. That could be a reason why Gateway Fiber is not going in there, is because it's not dedicated right-of-way. I don't know that, that's up to
Yeah.
Gateway Fiber as to how they go through and utilize utility easements, et cetera.
I don't know. You know, the villa owners, I know how we view it legally on paper, I guess I don't know. But the street and our front yards and our side yards and our backyards are all basically really association-owned property.
Correct.
Okay, anything else? Any other questions?
Ma'am, we, as you know, you saw in the paper, we talked with the Turtle Creek people, and I think, I'm afraid the answers here are the same issues and the same, when they were built,
But,
but let me finish. When they were built, the zoning allowed them to do that, and the zoning was there for the purpose of allowing to put it in at, at a different level and so forth. So to allow that many places in there in that short of space, that he complied with the zoning, the builder. He complied with the zoning at the time, but knew at the time that if he did that, it would be a private street and the city would not be maintained, and he knew that. And also, so the idea is to come back then, years later, and say, now take over. Now, could it be done? We talked about it last time with the other group, and I'm not sure of the details. It'd have to go through somebody well over my level. But if to be done, it would take a lot. It would have to be, those streets would have to be brought up to the same code as all the other streets had to be brought to, and had to be paid for that way. It would have to be brought up like that. And also that right-of-way would have to be turned over. Your right-of-way right now would have to be turned over. So, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, it gets rather involved to make that change.
I would like to add one thing here. My sister got married in the mid to late 60s, like 67, built a house in that area between Stafford and High Street. I think of it as up from the old Hazel plant. They built there. That was the edge of town when they built there. And when they, as a new married couple, they get this, when the city decided to fix the street, do whatever it did to the street, each owner got a bill from the city by the footage of their front. Well, she has a corner lot, so she also got the bill for the side. Now, as a young couple, don't you think that probably was a little bit of a hit? Well, she said somewhere along the line, the city just started paying for the street repairs. And so I offer to you, if you want to, there is a way. And I ask, you know, some of this is not much. Snow removal, I don't know, if we spent $500 on that for pre-treatment for ice so far this year, that's it. And the lighting is $1,300 a year. It would be a little something the city could do to pay for us out of our city taxes that we pay. Okay, I've taken enough of your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, is this something, Darren, that we could, I mean, possibly toss a few ideas around like we are going to for Turtle Creek, or?
Well, internally, we started that discussion. Mark and I exchanged a couple of emails with regards to how could this, how could you rectify it? I guess first and foremost, if the council chose to go down this path of doing that, obviously you've got other ones, Turtle Creek, you got Andrea Crest, I can name a half a dozen others at least that you're going to be, that you could possibly, the city could be faced with dealing with. We can't just go out there and spend the sales tax, and basically in 2005, when the transportation sales tax was passed, that's when the city took over maintenance, basically, of all. We did have maintenance before that. It was the good old days of chip and seal that they didn't, when they did that maintenance for the streets at that time, they did not assess people. But back in the day, if they went ahead and asphalted the street, they did a special assessment, and it's basically worked the way you described it, depending upon what your linear frontage of your lot would be. So, in short, you have to go at minimum, if you wanted to go down this path, regardless of whether it's this development, Turtle Creek, or the other dozen that are in town, they would have to dedicate right-of-way to the city. All property owners would have to dedicate it, because you cannot spend those public tax dollars on private property to go ahead and improve their property. So they would have to turn that over. My guess is the problem with this is that it would be substandard from what our subdivision code requires, and that's what Mark alluded to, that the developer knew that at the time, because they didn't have to go ahead and dedicate the right-of-way. That way they were able to go ahead and squeeze in X number more units depending upon the size of the development. But go ahead. If you want to talk, please don't come on up so we can get it on the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess the other thing, see, I'm losing my thought here, but it's the builder who made the promise. You made the agreement with. They have nothing, no skin in the game at all. It's all of us owners that have skin in the game. So you're punishing the wrong people.
But can I just ask you, ma'am, in all fairness, when you purchased your unit,
Oh, we did not. I didn't know I also had to pay
But
an
that was-
assessment to Stonecrest subdivision in addition to our little villa association.
so you had no idea that that was not a public street and that the homeowners association was
no.
going to have to go ahead
I
and take
didn't
care of
know
that
the difference
maintenance?
between a blue and a green street sign, but now I do.
Okay.
There's, I just pulled this up off our zoning map, so I don't know how accurate this is. But the individual condo owners own their unit. They don't own any of the land around it or any of the land where the road is located. That's all owned by the HOA. So even if they were to dedicate the right-of-way for the road, you would also have to go back and look then to see whether or not those lots meet the minimum lot size requirements. The property down there is all zoned R3. It's all multifamily. So you'd have to look and see if you do that, do the buildings meet the setback requirements? Do the
They will not.
lots? And I don't think they would either.
They will not. They will not there. They will not at Turtle Creek. That's why they were built the way they were.
See,
So-
I
so
think
now
you'd
I'm
have to
sorry.
come up with a new definition for a private city street or a small city street. If you want to continue building dense populated communities, like all these villa associations are, then you need a different definition for that. Or I say quit making them, because they're all going to end up frustrated like we are.
Well, that was kind of to Councilman Wessel's point 2 weeks ago, was the fact that maybe our code is not written right. that
Well,
we
no,
need to
as
go
of
back.
2018, private streets have to go through a PDR, planned residential, where it is very clear it is a private street that council approves per approved plan. That was not the case prior to 2018. So.
You had a planned development that they could go ahead and propose to do it. There was, the code was just a little bit different prior to 17 when we did extensive code changes. But there was a mechanism in place. That's how Turtle Creek got built. And basically, but like I said, is the idea was they were able to go ahead, not set aside 50-foot right-of-way. Because basically what happens when the development comes through is they don't have 50-foot of right-of-way. My guess is in Andrea Crest, we would not be able to get
No,
50-foot of right-of-way.
Oh, no. You'd be going from my front window to the person
Right,
across the
exactly,
You know,
exactly.
and I will also say that, you know, the fire trucks can get there if they have to. The ambulance has been there already,
Right.
and I've seen a semi on Andrea Crest. So big trucks can get there if they need to.
But the next steps, I guess, if the council would want to, and we were going to get you a report for that probably by the next meeting, would be if you could probably, there's three different ways that Mark described it. I identified two right off the bat: a neighborhood improvement district, where you go ahead and set up a special district where everybody is taxed for those improvements, any improvements that you would do for the streets.
Well, when you say everybody, it would only be
Yeah, for
the
the
people in that.
Homeowners, Association, that's what I meant, sorry, thank you. I'm
But so then we're paying the city to take care of our street,
Correct.
correct.
instead of, I don't know. You know, I'm already helping to pay for the street in front of my sister's house. Why can't she help pay for the street in front of mine?
Because it was not built to the city street standards. That's one of the answers.
Not my fault, not any of the owners.
I understand that.
And if the city wants it, if that's the best you can do as a city of Washington, I don't think it's, personally, I'm not real impressed. You know, it's kind of frustrating, but whatever.
Well, ma'am, we said this 2 weeks ago also, that it's just got brought to our attention.
Right.
And it's not as simple as,
I-
you bet, we'll take care of it next year. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And I tried to tell this to Steve last time, and he thought I was against him. Not against you. We just got to figure out a way to make it happen. And I know the initial answer is no, it's not going to work that easy. Right-of-way issues, you know, street substandards, all that kind of stuff comes into play here. So you're going to get those answers you don't like to hear from the beginning. But I think, as Darren has said, and, you know, whether there's an additional tax on those people there seems unfair, but maybe there's a way to work that out. And again, allow us a little bit of time to look into it and go that way before we just say no and
Well-
Washington is terrible because you guys aren't saying yes. That's, so,
You know, and like I said, I really like our communities, but I don't think you should keep building them, approving them that way. Because I don't think that's a good plan.
Ma'am, there is a demand.
I know,
For those.
exactly. We want that. But when, 20 years down the road, when they realize, oh, we got to come, $300 for each of our 46 owners. 14 of them don't live on Andrea Crest, and they still had to pay that $300 assessment.
I've heard from them too.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. I hear from them too. So just knowing that you'll look at it seriously and think twice about you creating more of it, it is all I ask for right now. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike John, 610 Robert Street. First, I want to, two things. Kevin is doing an amazing job in a tough situation. He's been out to Moe's multiple times, even looked at your own system to make sure it wasn't broken, and is helping me find spots that water's being used that we never would, because I notice it now because the bill is huge. I mean, it's huge. But we're narrowing it down. I want to tell you, Kevin is doing a great job. He's mediating in between all these decisions being made, and he's in the middle, and he's doing a great job of doing it. So if you guys get a chance, pat him on the back and say thanks. I wanted to tell you that.
The sewer issue?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Did you read a packet? That's a joke. Okay, the other issue is this master plan, okay? You guys, it went quick and everything like that. I'm not a big fan here. Everybody with the Parks Department, spend your $70,000. I don't care. I don't care. We give these guys raises, and some too, to do some of this work instead of ousting it out. It seems like we're ousting everything out. And you tell you about being biased. With the Parks Department and the city workers, you're not going to have any bias. You're going to let somebody be biased? I don't think you are, Jeff. You're not going to do that. So that bias thing, I'm going to throw out the window. The other thing is, you brought up grants. You know their cities actually work without these grants? We're taking money from a broke government, which is still our tax money. You don't realize that. And you only brought that up after the discussion got further, and you went, grants. And then he chimed in and said, yeah, we have to get that to get 3, and that's probably in the paperwork. So I'm saying, you wanted raises, now earn them, and quit hiring out all this work, okay? That's all I'm asking. So, thanks for your time. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else?
Stanton Skurjanik, 1407 East 5th Street. When I was 18 and thinking about where am I going to go to college, I had more or less narrowed it down to 2 choices. Way out east and somewhere in Virginia, and then a small little Catholic school in Atchison, Kansas, Benedictine College. Now I was at Atchison for an overnight stay with a buddy of mine. He was a student there. And we were just going around campus. It was later at night, maybe 8, 9 o'clock. We were just strolling through campus, and all of a sudden I hear this very tenor, baritone voice sing into a guitar. And I looked around, I couldn't see anything, but I saw like this just glow, this very small glow in the distance. And as I got closer, I saw this behemoth of a man. I'm talking like 6-foot gargantuan, 300 pounds. And he was clad in black robe. This was a Benedictine monk on the campus. They owned the land the campus sits on. And he was with a group of other monks, students, professors, groundskeepers, and even a couple of natives to Atchison. And they were all living life. They were doing a weekly cigar lounge, if you will, at their underneath the outside patio of a student center. And I was immediately enthralled. Here was a community that had formed pretty much organically. They were just living life. They were more or less separated from the rest of people, so if people wanted to walk up to and from their dorms, they were out of the way. And I was instantly hooked, and I was pretty much convinced that I was going to go to Benedictine. And I partook in those weekly cigar nights. It was lovely. When the campus went smoke-free, I fought it like hell. I lost, unfortunately, but I never forgot any of those memories. On reflection of hearing about the ordinance that was proposed last week and that you will vote on tonight, I thought I should say something because that gargantuan of a man, Father Meinrad, with his beautiful voice and a fat stogie in his knuckles, it is arguably because of that I went to Benedictine, I met my wife, and now we have our first baby girl. And that's what this tradition of smoking cigars can do. So I would encourage you all, and I think you're inclined to do so, but I encourage you all to vote yes in favor of the ordinance granting the exemption. Thank you.
Great story. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Report of department heads, delinquent real estate and personal property taxes as of February 1st, 2024.
We just need to approve, this is your annual report that you get for any delinquent taxes. As we contract still with Franklin County to go ahead and do the tax reports for the city, do the collection of that. They have to go ahead and give us a report on an annual basis, and this is what you have. So
Can I ask two things?
you can ask whatever you like.
That's like 135 pages of names, and many of those things, they've been on the books for years now, and they owe less than $1. Do we have to keep reviewing them?
I have asked that question before in the effort of saving trees, and the answer is no. We still have to go ahead and have, if they are delinquent for whatever, if it's a penny, you have to go ahead and put it in the report.
All right. Do you need a motion to accept those?
Yes.
So move.
Motion by Wessel, second by Coulter. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Stormwater Management Fund, 800 Jefferson Street.
Good evening, council. This is a request from ELS to pay a cash contribution into the Stormwater Fund for 800 Jefferson Street in lieu of on-site detention. We talked about this at a previous council meeting, that the city plans to do a bioretention retrofit project at the adjacent property, and they would utilize that detention for the actual runoff. And this contribution would help fund that project, so. And then we'll bid out that project for construction later as a city project.
Questions?
Make motion. Send it on.
Motion by Hopmeyer. Do I have a second? Second by Wessels. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a temporary site license agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and New Singular Wireless, PCS, LLC.
Bear.
Introduced by Bear.
So Justin, I think, is over at the EOC tonight with the storms or whatever. So basically, this is the cell tower that we use out on the fairgrounds during the fair. We have to go through this and get your approval for them to locate it at that location during those times. So we would recommend to do so.
Questions? Discussion? Let's vote. Go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a temporary site license agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and New Singular Wireless, PCS, LLC. Coulter?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Could I ask real quick, Al, you know, was the site last year, was it sufficient? I mean, that was always the issue, that you couldn't make a call sometimes. Did it work pretty well for all of you guys out there
Until Friday night.
until Friday night?
The storm in conjunction
Oh.
with everything is always the kicker.
I believe that they promised it would be better this year. They were aware of the issues from last year, so
I will say the couple of years that we did not have the cow out there was horrible.
Yes.
it's
Talking them
necessary
into coming
for
back
sure.
to the pump, you know, I think Mark had a lot to do with that.
Yep.
It certainly improves
huge.
the situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
By your vote, 7A passes. B, please.
An ordinance amending section 125.080.a of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri.
Heidrich.
Introduced by Heidrich.
Good evening, council. If you recall, at the last council workshop, I discussed a proposal for a police academy sponsorship program. As I promised, we met and discussed, iron out the details for the agreement and how that looks and make sure we're doing it legally. So City Council has done that, drafted both this ordinance and the next one. So I request that you approve both of these so that we can move forward with that program.
Essentially, everything that's new on this item 7B starts at Section 2 with the tuition reimbursement program, all police academy recruits. The other language that's prior to that's already within your code for tuition reimbursement. But this specifically gets into for the police academy recruits. And then the next ordinance that we have is basically to allow the mayor to go ahead and execute, so we don't have to come back each time to go ahead and get your council approval. If the police department comes to the mayor and says, we've got a recruit we'd like to go ahead and do, he's authorized then to go ahead and enter into that agreement.
And like I
But
said.
that's the next ordinance.
Well, like I said, last meeting, you know, Doug and I went, and it was, there was a lot of good feedback, and, there was a lot of good questions asked at that, at Academy, so it was very neat to go to.
It was worthwhile.
Yes, it was.
Other discussion? Let's vote, Sherry.
An ordinance amending section 125.080.a of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri. Coulter?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, ordinance 7B passes. C, please.
An ordinance approving a police academy sponsorship program and authorizing the mayor to execute such academy sponsorship program agreements as he or she may deem necessary and appropriate from time to time.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Holmeyer. It would sure make it more nimble, you guys. Make it better for us to react quickly when we need to if someone wants to come here. So I ask for your vote. Discussion? Go ahead.
An ordinance approving a police academy sponsorship program and authorizing the mayor to execute such academy sponsorship program agreements as he or she may deem necessary and appropriate from time to time. Coulter?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Thank you. By your vote, 7C passes. D, please.
An ordinance accepting the proposal from Planning Design Studio for professional services for a Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
Yes, this is the master plan we discussed earlier that'll help us plan for the next capital improvement sales tax and allow us to survey the public and see what's needed and what they're desiring and how we can improve our park system.
Do you feel like this will help in the long run save money by, instead of trying to do it ourselves, to get this plan together? We're not just throwing darts at something, they'll actually have a plan, we may potentially save money by
Yeah,
doing this?
yeah, so I have organizations come to me all the time and say, I would like to, and individuals say, I would like to do this. And then I'll have someone else say, well, we'd like to do this. Well, with this plan, we'll be able to say, well, we surveyed the public, and here's the priority list that the public voted on or surveyed and said they'd like to see X, Y, and Z in the parks in the near future. And so I can refer back to that and say, all right, well, this is the list of priorities that we came up with in the park master plan that the public voted on, or the public, you know, we surveyed the public. That way we're not duplicating projects or pushing other projects in front of someone's pet project and things like that.
Seems like we've done something similar with almost every department. You know, the city, I guess we've moved along to that point where our systems are large enough to where you really need something like this.
Yeah, I mean, growing cities, and it's one of the things you do when you grow. And I know if you do a little research, you can come up with 50 cities around us or near us within 100 miles of us that have done these, plans.
Well, besides the questions I had earlier, Wayne, the only other thing is, I heard the auditorium get mentioned twice. Well, we paid an auditing company to tell us what we should do with that
Only
The
for-
auditorium.
Only for the HVAC and windows and things like that. This would be.
They didn't
for-
talk about that, they didn't talk about an end user, they just talked
Yeah.
about what utilities you needed to update. Like if,
Like
so
the
for example,
repurposing of that
there's been
building.
discussions about if you want to go ahead and turn that into, move the senior center from the Elks back out there possibly.
In the basement.
Yeah, or not necessarily in the basement, throughout the whole building, if you needed to. But, like I said, that was not done by, at that time, Verigy or the.
I know,
company
but they, we were coming up with I heard earlier about the auditorium and, what we should do with it in a sense, so I took that as, I thought we knew what we were doing with it, and so, that's all.
There was an energy audit that said we burn too much fuel.
Yeah.
That's when they put that new roof on.
Right. Yeah, the new roof went on as a result of that.
And windows and.
Yeah.
Right.
Doors, yeah.
Other discussion? Gang, I know we have some really talented folks on the park board, really talented. But they don't know it all. They don't do it every day like the folks that we're planning on hiring. And the folks that we are planning on hiring, they learn from their mistakes. I'm sure you've made them, and I'm sure you've learned, Andy. And to me, that adds value when we are going to discuss something major like possibly putting a park on the east side of town. I don't know. That's pie in the sky. I've heard that several times from folks on the east side, of course. But I think when we as a council or the park board or any of our boards try and make major decisions like that without having some type of outside input by experts, and we need to tread very carefully in doing that. And the added bonus of being able to procure grants, that makes it even more important. Because I don't know, our town would be very, very different if we didn't go after those grants. And I want everybody to remember that. Any other discussion? Go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance accepting the proposal from Planning Design Studio for professional services for a Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Coulter?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, ordinance 7D passes.
Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of professional services contract with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley, Inc. for airport services.
Hopemar.
Introduced by Hopemar.
All right, as discussed at our workshop earlier, this is a contract to extend and have a 5-year contract with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley, otherwise known as CMT, for our airport consultant fee. Again, this allows them to add the airport or the runway widening and extension project to their list of projects they consult for us. So.
Discussion.
One thing I didn't mention, sorry, at the last meeting was that of all the funding we get for the airport, the consulting fee is part of the $90-10. So everything we pay to CMT is 10 cents on the dollar.
Okay. Guys have any questions about the airport and CMT? Okay, let's vote. Go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a professional services contract with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley, Inc. for airport services. Coulter?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, ordinance 7E passes. F, please.
An ordinance authorizing the City of Washington, Missouri to issue its taxable industrial revenue bonds, Tax Wrap Packaging Systems LLC project, Series 2024, in a principal amount not to exceed $8,600,000 for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of acquiring and constructing a facility for an industrial development project in the city, approving a plan for the project, and authorizing the city to enter into certain agreements and take certain other actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds.
Coulter.
Introduced by Coulter.
All right, and again, this, as discussed previously, this is to approve the Chapter 100 agreement with TexRap and their landlord, technically, of that property off of Offspring Drive for their industrial expansion project. And with the terms in the project listed here are identical to what was approved in the memorandum of understanding in 2023. So this is essentially, once it's signed next week, can start the 10-year clock.
Sal, can I ask you, and I want to keep it at 10 words or less.
Okay.
All right. The pilot, as specified in your letter, how is that figure arrived at? Is that broken down from the 50% abatement, or?
Correct. There's an estimate of what their taxes will be.
Okay.
In the CBA, and at 50% of that over 10 years is $414,000.
Got it. Thank you.
Other questions?
Oh, that was pretty good for even close to 10 words.
Close.
All right, let's vote, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing the city of Washington, Missouri to issue its taxable industrial revenue bonds, TexRap Packaging Systems LLC project, Series 2024, in a principal amount not to exceed $8,600,000 for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of acquiring and constructing a facility for an industrial development project in the city, approving a plan for the project, and authorizing the city to enter into certain agreements and take certain other actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds. Coulter?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Abstain.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, 7F passes. G, please.
An ordinance amending sections 260.010 and 260.080.a of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri, establishing exemptions from the Smoke-Free Air Act for cigar bars.
Bear.
Introduced by Bear.
All right. And then, once again, the two amendments here, 260.010 is to add a definition for a cigar bar where they have to have at least 25% of their quarterly gross revenue from the sale of cigars and or rental of humidor space, have ventilation, and does not allow minors to enter the smoking area. And then 260.080 is actually exempting that use from the smoking ban.
Questions, discussion?
I've got a lot of phone calls on this one. It's all been positive.
Great. All right, let's vote, Chair.
An ordinance amending sections 260.010 and 260.080.a of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri, establishing exemptions from the Smoke-Free Air Act for cigar bars. Coulter?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Nay. And the reason I'm voting nay is like I told you before, it's nothing against you. I voted, up here, we voted for a smoking ban, and I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth. So I wish the best to you.
Briggs?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, 7G passes. H, please.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for the Creek at Coke Farms Plat 3 in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
There's simply, I guess, and if Sarah wants to go ahead and describe it in more detail, but this lot is simply adding an easement on that's the northeast corner?
Northeast, yep. So the plat that you have in your packet, you can see that there is a new sewer easement running across the northeast corner. It's to connect to the new development in Stonebridge. That's going to run across the creek and head south.
Discussion? Okay, let's vote.
An ordinance approving a boundary adjustment for the Creek at Coke Farms Plat 3 in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Coulter?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
By your vote, Ordinance 7H passes.
Mayor's report.
I'd like to remind everybody, tomorrow's election day. So please exercise our God-given right and go vote. Thank you.
City Administrator's report.
I would just like to go ahead and take a little bit of time. Sherry and Sal can help me go ahead and fill in as another tool to go ahead and communicate with the general public. A few months ago, the council authorized us to go ahead and enter into a contract so that we could go ahead and provide an app that's specifically related to city business. So we are going to be launching this thing. It looks like on April the 8th. The new website is up. It still will be added to or taken care of. I mean, that's always a working document, so to speak. But the good thing with the app is that it, just like Code Red, if our citizens go ahead and decide to download that and put that on their phones, they will get all forms of information that we have that we go ahead and send out, whether it be not just social media, but if they get the app, they can get the information that way. If they choose not to, they will still see the posts that we put out on social media. And again, I would remind you that we're still going to have Code Red for all of our citizens that choose to go ahead and sign up that way and get their information that way. So trying to just give another form of communication. Thanks to the council for their support to go ahead and get that up and running. Thanks to Sal and Sherry for taking the time to go ahead and work. We worked with our other department heads today, but I would encourage you, all you have to do is, I think, go to the App Store for your iPhone, or what's the Google Play?
Google Play.
And then look up City of Washington app, and you should see an app that comes up with the city's logo, as you can see in that picture that Sal's got up there. And I would encourage every one of you to go ahead and download that on your phones, and you can find out more information or find it out quicker of anything that gets released. This could be anything from trash service changes to closure of some streets, et cetera. I mean, you get all kinds of news.
Yep.
Water main breaks.
Water main breaks.
Yeah.
Exactly. You will have meetings, dates and times, and when there'll be a scrolling calendar that goes across that as well.
Well, and it allows department heads to be able to send out alerts, like a push notification, so it'll actually notify you on your phone from a message if it is a water main break that you want to get out right away, rather than post on Facebook and hope someone sees it. Kevin can get on there at 2 in the morning and push it out.
They'll still do Code Reds.
Yeah.
We will still do Code Reds. We will still keep that. And the reason for that is because that can target a neighborhood, whereas this app is still not at that point where this just goes out to anybody that, I mean, you can be anywhere in the world and use the app, obviously, and get the information for the city. But Code Red is specific for those areas that are affected by whatever problem it may be at the time. So we're going to keep that service too.
Thank you.
Just another form of communication for all age ranges of our population. I just said all age ranges of our population.
Download that on your phone, Mark.
Jerry promised.
How do you do that?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Council comments.
Yes, since this is Sal's last meeting, I would like to thank him for his service. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We're going to miss him
Definitely,
in a lot of ways, so.
definitely.
And I got a few items here, so sit back, relax. I'm not overreacting here, but I have quite a few issues that constituents have brought forward. So, one, I already talked to Chief about, but I told you I'd mention it anyway. In Stonecrest, obviously, there's speeding issues everywhere. We all know that through the whole town. But I brought this forward to Chief, if Traffic Commission can look at this at Deutsche Crest and Rock Crest Drive, they would like to look at, see if there was any way possible to get a four-way stop put in there. I told them what I was told shortly after I got on the council, that stop signs don't slow traffic down, but you know, there, like I say, there's speeders everywhere, and I told them I'd bring this forward and see if Traffic Commission, see if it was anything that they could look at if it was importance to them. Number two, we got oil again out of the trash trucks. I don't know if it's recycling. I don't know if it's the trash truck, I don't know if it's the recycling, but, something definitely needs to be done about this. We thought we nipped this, but I guess we didn't. They're dumping oil all over the streets again. So, I don't know if there's something we can look at in our contract. If they can't keep their trucks sealed up, maybe we need to look at ixnaying their contract. Obviously, they're not doing their part. I have pictures here as well if anybody wants to see them. Monthly expense reports, I have not seen them in the past month or so. Did we, since we've done some moving around, can we make sure we get those back? And they might have, and I'm not receiving them, so.
We'll check on that.
Yeah. Seeing pictures, and people are telling me that the sandbar is having scooters up there. What is there, any regulations on the scooters that they're gonna have up there?
No, so, just in a commercial property, I mean, if someone wants to have a moped rental or skateboard rental or scooter rental, they are permitted to do that from their own site to patrons, and then they bring them back and pick them up however they please. We have no contract to have a sole service like we did with Lime, and no contract to regulate them.
Or utilize our public parking lots as collection areas, et cetera.
So do we still have regulations as far as what we did before? They can only be on the streets at certain times?
It's based on whatever your traffic code allows them to do. It's whatever traffic regulations you have in place for them. That's what it is.
Okay, and I brought this up last time, any more talks about scooters at all for the city of Washington?
So that gentleman with the sandbar was who originally asked to go, if we can go out back for a request for qualifications, proposals. And then, at this point, I think it sounds like that they're happy with doing it from their site. And so we would not have to be involved unless we change our regulations.
So, Chief, if this scooter is, if a scooter is in the middle of the street or thrown on a sidewalk somewhere, impairing for people traveling,
We would look at it, each violation as it occurs.
okay. And since Tony's handling some cases with the storms, Rabbit Trail in Winona, if you guys can picture, maybe say, oh, no, you don't need to bring it up. Imagine Rabbit Trail in Winona, the T there. I have residents that are asking that have maybe, and this has to go to the Traffic Commission, asking possibly if we can maybe back that traffic up where they're parking at least one spot, if not two, because when they come out of,
It's there. It's there. It's been presented to Sergeant Grissom, and he's taken it to the traffic.
Committee.
That same issue.
the same issue.
Okay.
Okay, well, because there's yellow painted there now, but they're parking over the yellow, and actually, they wanted it back a little bit more, some of the residents up there, if possible.
Okay, well, if they're parking
If they're
on
parking in
yellow,
the no parking, that's a
Right,
traffic
exactly,
violation, yeah.
exactly, but they were even
Look at
asking
that.
if they can maybe be moved back slightly, because you got a lot of older residents, and they're pulling up, they can't see amongst the vehicles. Also, this would be for Tony, Turtle Creek, the entrance into Turtle Creek off of Winona, they're asking, since it's kind of dim lighting there, if we can paint any kind of safety yellow on the curb there, so it makes it more aware for when they turn in. They said at night there's not the best lighting there, and it would help them residents pull in there.
We'll bring it up with our traffic committee.
Yeah, yeah.
They meet, I think, this Friday. So.
Okay, and last but least, Market and Third. And here again, Tony's not here to ask. It's a concrete street, and this resident's wondering why it was patched, and a very, very bad patch, he's saying it's very lumpy, a blacktop. I told him it might be something just temporarily.
Market and Third?
Yep.
It's probably due to the fact that we're about to go ahead and start construction on that street.
Yeah, they're starting this week, so we'll be there in probably a couple weeks.
Okay, all right,
It's from the fire hydrant.
okay. So it was temporary then. Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Sal, for all you've done. We will miss you.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn? Multiples. By Coulter, second by Packey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.